Wow. Okay. Hello, lollers! Welcome back to another beginner champ guide. Today we're playing Fiora. We're going to talk about her runes really quick, the items, and then get into a quick little bot game here for a lane phase and walk you guys through the abilities and some of the trades that we're going to be looking to do. So this changes obviously patch to patch, but generally you're going to be running Conquer with Fiora, and then Triumph, Legend, Tenacity, and Last Stand. In the secondary tree, you're running Demolish and Bone Plating. This is just really good for trades and hitting down turrets. Fiora is the best duelist in the game, which means that you're going to be split pushing a lot, you're going to be 1v1ing a lot, and if you win those, you're going to be trying to take down those turrets and objectives. Okay, build wise, we're going to start with the Dorn's Blade and the health potion in pretty much every single game. We're running TP and Flash. TP as a split pusher is just a must, and Flash obviously is the best summoner spell in the game, so you're going to be running that. Rush item, Gore Drinker. Okay, you're running that first, follow that up with the plated steel caps, and then last item on Fiora is, where is it here, the Ravenous Hydra. Okay, you get to those three items with Fiora, you're pretty much going to be good to go. Now in lane, we're going to pick up Q first pretty much every time. Fiora's passive is really unique in her kit. It spawns these vitals on the enemy champion. If you auto attack a vital, it deals a little bit extra damage on that auto attack. It heals you for a little bit and gives you a little bit of move speed. Okay, so really important when playing Fiora, if you can, try and auto those vitals down. Okay, it's just the better way to trade with the champion. The cool trick is with her is if you do not like where a vital's sitting on an enemy champion, you can walk away from them and it'll respawn in different areas. So here, for example, you can see that vital's pointing away from us. Really hard to auto attack that side of the champion. If she walks away into the fog of war, or I walk away into the fog of war, it will respawn potentially in front of her. Again, you can see here, and then we get a little bit of that extra damage. And you can use your Q to kind of wiggle around them, or even just auto attack them in different areas here and proc that and get a little bit of that move speed, the extra damage, and the healing. Okay, so really important to play Fiora well. You want to be hitting those vitals. Okay, so here you can just see we're wiggling around, we're walking on every side of her. You can use your Q if you need to follow up and close the gap. Q is a ridiculous ability. It's such a good gap closer. It's like a mini Flash, honestly, and the cooldown is so short, especially as you max it out, and it will be the ability you max out first. Really good dueling tool. Okay, now we haven't had a chance to pick up our W yet. We're going to pick it up now. This is what makes Fiora the best duelist, the best 1v1er in the game. Okay, it's riposte. It stabs out in front of you, a big line. We're going to use it once Kale gets back to lane here. Blocks all incoming damage, CC, slows, displacements, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so we'll wait for her to kind of use something on us here, but you're going to see it's going to stab out a big line in front of us. It's going to block everything. Okay, now a lot of people think as beginners you can only use this defensively to block one big spell or one big ability. I would argue that this is in a lot of cases more valuable to use aggressively, even if they're not throwing a spell at you, to just damage them, because it does deal damage. It slows their movement speed and it slows their auto attack speed. So Kale in this case is an auto attack based champ. A lot of the champs you're playing in the top lane will be auto attack based. So here you can see we're going to W. That does proc a vital, slows her move speed and slows her attack speed. I don't know if we're going to get this. We did. Perfect. Okay, so it can be used aggressively. Don't forget about that. The tricky part of playing Fiora really well into her maximum ability, what makes her so hard, is understanding every single matchup and when you want to use that W. Which ability do you want to use it on? Can you use it aggressively? Do you have to save it to use defensively? Can you use it to engage? Do you have to save it to disengage, right? All these questions, and it changes with every matchup. So, a classic example would be something like a Malphite ultimate. Obviously, after level 6, you are going to hold that W to simply block the Malphite ultimate. That's all you're going to do. Okay, so here we'll Q in, we'll auto attack her, we can use our W to block some damage and slow her, and that lets us just keep following up with damage here. Okay, so there, and in this matchup, just because Kale's so weak early, we can use the W very aggressively and deal that damage, get them with the movement speed slow, and just crush them. Okay, now E, this is our third basic ability. It's called Blade Work. Again, Fiora is just an auto attack based champ, so a lot of this stuff is just enhancing her autos outside of the W riposte. So the E just gives her next two attacks a little bit of attack speed. The first one slows for a small amount, and the second one critically strikes. So the Q and the E can both be used as an auto attack reset, which means that if you auto and press Q or E, you'll send out some more damage pretty quickly. Alright, so we're going to show a basic trading combo here in a second. Q in, auto, E, and then just keep autoing, and if you can hit those vitals, hit those vitals. You can either disengage with your Q if you wanted to dodge minion aggro or dodge whatever they're going to throw back, or you could use the Q to keep following up and deal more damage. Okay, so that's the autos, the Q, and the E's. Now if you really want to get spicy, what you throw into that trade is your W, okay? Because we know W slows them and it also blocks damage. So if you're going in for a really big juicy trade, you want to try and mix your W in somewhere in that trade to not only block their damage, but slow their movement and their attack speed, so you can really guarantee yourself a win in that trade, okay? So we'll see that in a second when she comes back. We're going to throw that W into the trade, okay? So here we're just waiting for the Kale to come back. You can pick up last hits pretty well with Fiora because you have so many auto attack resets here. So you can see even that weird minion there, we're able to get it with an auto EQ. Now we're going to wait for our E to come back up here, and we're going to go for a really big trade on this Kale. So it's going to start with a Q probably to close the distance, and then we're going to auto E, W, okay? So here she's going to give us, without even having to close the distance, we're going to slow her down. You can see how that slowed her. We're just going to follow up. We're going to try and get around on her on that side, and we're going to survive. Okay, so the W there in that trade helps to slow her down so we can run her down with our autos and our Qs. Now once you kill enemy champion or chunk them hard enough out of lane, Fiora rips turrets because you can hit turrets with your autos, your Qs, and your E's. So you can see here when I Q, I'm going to hit that turret, and my E hit that turret as well. So lots of damage. If you're running Demolish, you can see if you take the champ out of lane, even for 30 seconds, it's worth 2 plates. That's an extra 300 gold. That is so much gold, and it's so valuable on Fiora because she scales so hard into the late game. Okay, so we're going to go back and buy here. We have a good chunk of gold. We're going to build towards that Gore Drinker, come back in here, and hopefully do a couple more big trades on this Kale. Okay, so recommended item, again, that Gore Drinker. You might not have as much gold as this on your first back. Try and rush the Iron Spike Whip if you can. It just gives you such good wave clear with the active. So we're going to rush that one first, and then we're going to build towards the rest of our items. I have enough money for some boots, so I'm going to run back here. I'm going to TP so I can pick up this full wave of minions, and if Kale stays, I might just trade onto her really hard here. So basic combo is that Q, auto, and then the E to reset everything. And then you just rinse and repeat that over and over and over again. Into the tougher matchups, like I said, you'll have to use your W a little bit more defensively, and the skill comes in knowing which spell to block and having the reaction speed to actually block it. But in matchups where they're a little bit easier because the other champ is weaker than you, or you're just stronger because you know you got a gank or you just outplayed your opponent, you can use that W very aggressively to slow them down and keep the trade going. Okay, now ganking or roaming with Fiora, I probably wouldn't recommend it. I would just stick to doing kind of your 1v1s in lane, forcing the opponent out of lane, grabbing those turret plates. You can see here, once you shove a wave in, even if you take a little bit of auto attack damage from the enemy champion, you can knock down those plates so fast as Fiora that it's probably worth just taking a few autos to get that plate gold, right? Every 2 plate golds is essentially worth a kill. Even there, we kind of chunked her back out of lane. We're going to use our auto and our E and Q to really shove this lane fast and then take more plates. A great goal with Fiora in terms of scaling up, obviously, is to see if you can get every single turret plate before they drop at 14 minutes. The other major goal I'd say is if you can get to your core build by 20 minutes, you're going to be in a really good position to just absolutely demolish the games that you're in. So the core build is the Gore Drinker, the Plated Steel Caps, and then the Ravenous Hydra. Those 3 items, if you get those by 20, you're essentially in God mode and probably can 1v3, to be honest. So here we'll just probably shove this in one more time here. We'll go back and buy our first full item, and then you can see just the auto Q. Even if we caught it with that W, it would have dealt a little bit more damage. But the auto Q E kind of combo just chunks people out so hard once you get ahead here. I think we have enough gold for Gore Drinker. We do. So I'm going to jump back in, buy the Gore Drinker. We'll walk back to lane and talk about the ultimate here. So ultimate-wise, what you're looking at with Fiora is it just applies vitals around the character on all 4 sides, okay? Which helps our auto attack damage. It enhances all of it. It deals some true damage. And again, just like with the passive, it gives us some health sustain back if the champion dies, depending on how many vitals we struck. If we strike all 4 vitals, even if the champion doesn't die, we do get that healing back. So it's a really powerful dueling spell again. So here we can open the trade with an auto E auto, and then if she runs, we could have closed the distance there with the Q. Alright, so we'll take this turret down, and then maybe we'll go hunt for somebody to use our ultimate on. Really, it is, again, one of those one-on-one ultimates. In team fight scenarios, you may want to use your ultimate as a chance to heal everyone on your team, even if you don't need to strike all 4 vitals. If there's a low health target, you think you might want to heal up the team a little bit. If that champ dies and you struck at least 1 vital, you will still proc all the healing off your ultimate. Okay, so we'll see if we can proc it off of Kale here on a turret dive, maybe. I'll wait for my E to come back up. We'll see if we can chunk her out here a little bit. So with the Gore Drinker, your trading becomes pretty insane because all you do is you Q in and then you also hit the Gore Drinker active. So you get that healing back, and then you just chunk people out. So if she has ultimate, obviously she's going to be able to survive, but that's another little way you build into your trades with the Gore Drinker active. It just basically makes every trade a win for you. You Q in, you auto, you Gore Drinker, you E, and you're already winning every single trade. If the champ's not nearby, what you can do is you can use the Gore Drinker to help clear out those minions. And then just keep beating down that tower. You can see here this tower is already gone. Drop another point in our ultimate here, and then maybe go hunting for somebody bot lane here. There's not really any chance that this Kale is going to give us to dive her, I think, with her ultimate. So we'll just kind of jump bot here, see if we can gank. Again, you'd never really do this in your games, but if things devolve to team fight scenarios, you just try and do your best to flank from the sides, try and use your ultimate in, you know, areas where you can least proc it for sure. So here we'll see if these guys come out. If they don't, there's actually a pretty juicy 2 people in the mid lane here that we can try and go on to. So we'll pick up some plants. And let's go have some fun limit testing this. So here we'll use the ultimate on the Cassio, just so that we have the best chance to proc the healing element of it here. So we're going to use this. We're going to use the W to slow her. Use my Gore Drinker. You see that big flower icon that pops up? That's that healing after we proc all 4, we kill the enemy champ, and now we just run this champ down. So you can see the 1v2 is very easy with Fiora, especially if you have a chance to proc that ultimate healing off. It just lets you survive and pretend that first champ wasn't even there to damage you. You mix that in with the Gore Drinker, it's just so much damage. So guys, that's pretty much everything you need to know on Fiora as a beginner. Of course, there's tons of stuff for you to practice on your own with the W ability, and then also having fun learning, you know, what angles you can proc passives off of. You know, here this Rise, we build in that combo, hit him with the W, Q up. So you can see our Q is on such a short cooldown now. As long as we get to that vital, should be okay. Sometimes hitting those vitals is a little bit tough, but and a little bit buggy, to be honest, as well. But again, you get used to it in your games. It's something that even I mess up from time to time, thinking that I'm going to auto attack or Q onto a vital, and it doesn't work. So the more games you put into her and the more practice you have, the better you'll get at striking those vitals. You can eventually learn the pattern that they come out on to the champion, but that's for a little bit more advanced play once you log some games on her. So guys, all the best with Fiora. Let me know how it goes in the comments below. Hopefully you pick up a bunch of wins playing this champion. I'll catch you in the next one.